Now this might be hard for some of y'all to believe, ladies and gentlemen, but frugal living ain't just for us country folk away from the modern temptations, living a quiet life and saving money by hanging our laundry outside. No, frugal living is also for the high class of society, the young people living in urban cities, partying it up on the weekends and enjoying all the modern luxuries. You can still be frugal while living in a high-cost living area. In fact, unless you're making a ridiculous amount of money, the only way you're going to survive a high-cost living area is by being frugal. And as someone who has recently traded in his cowboy boots and headed off to the big city, I want to share 10 frugal living hacks that I've developed while living in a high cost of living area. And the first hack is live in a central location, even if it's slightly more expensive. So I recently moved to Atlanta, Georgia, and if you've ever been here, you know that most of this city is very car dependent. And having to depend on a car in a city can really increase your cost of living because you have to drive in stop and go traffic using more gas. You have to constantly pay for parking, and city roads wear down your car quicker. But one hack that has allowed me to save money despite being in a high cost of living area is just choosing to live in a very central location where all the amenities are within walking distance. And also living in a location where there's a lot going on so I don't feel the need to leave. I don't drive that often because I live in a very central location, and that cuts my cost of living drastically because I don't have to depend on my car. And even if it's slightly more expensive, consider living in a very central area where all the amenities are around you. When you don't have to rely on your car, you can cut your expenses drastically because cars are a huge thing that makes city living expensive. Now, the second hack is concentrate fun spending on the weekends and with others. Now, a huge part of living in a high cost of living area is that there's just a lot more going on, more restaurants, more events, and more fun things to do. And just because you're frugal doesn't mean that you can't do these things. I mean, I often say that being frugal is just being intentional. And one intentional hack that has allowed me to save money while still enjoying these things is throughout the week, I save money on things by cooking at home, making coffee at home, and doing tasks myself. And because I'm saving money throughout the week doing these things, I can use the money I would have spent to enjoy the weekend and do things with others. If you live in an area where there's a lot going on, you should still do these fun things, but just be strategic about it. When you focus on saving money throughout the week and using that money to have fun on the weekends, one, you don't go over budget, and two, you get more value from your money. If you're intentional with your money, you can still do the things that everyone else is doing, but you won't go broke because of it. Now, the third hack is do things, but don't go all out. Since I moved to a higher cost of living city, I have been spending more money just because there's a lot more fun things to do. And one fun thing I did last month is that I saw the Broadway musical Hamilton. And although it did cost money, me and the person I went with went the frugal route. And instead of paying $500 for front row tickets, we spent $80 for tickets in the balcony. Even though we got cheaper tickets, we still enjoyed the show and had a memorable experience. And if you live in a high cost of living area, you should still do these fun things, but just go the frugal route. I mean, here in Atlanta, you can get a ticket for a baseball game for $11, see a concert for $27, or see a Broadway show for $80. But if you go all out, you'll spend way more. If you live in a place where there's a lot to do, you should still do fun things, but just go the frugal route and don't feel the need to go all out. Because at the end of the day, what you're going to remember is just being there. Now, the fourth hack is embrace free things going on. The beauty of living in a higher cost of living area is that it's generally more dense. And when things are more dense, there's a lot of free things that go on. I mean, since I moved here in Atlanta, I've been to the St. Patrick's Day Parade, the Persian Festival, and every day I walk through beautiful parks, all of which are completely free. And so another frugal living hack is just to embrace all the free stuff going on. If you live in a densely populated area, there is always something going on. And if you seek out these things, you can fill up a whole day without spending any money. Now, the fifth hack is always leave your house with a full stomach and a water bottle. Now, this is a very simple hack, but it can save you so much money. If you're going out to do something fun, always leave your house with a full stomach and a water bottle. And that simple advice can save you so much money, because if you go out and get hungry, there's $20 for a meal. And if you're thirsty and buy a bottle of water, there's another $3. You do that 2 times a week, that's $2,400 a year. Always leave your house with a full stomach and a water bottle to avoid overpaying for those things. Now, the sixth hack is buy more experiences and less stuff. So I don't make tons of money, but I have been able to enjoy living in a higher cost of living area because I basically use all my discretionary spending on experiences and very little on stuff. It makes it much more manageable. If I was a materialistic person, I don't think that I could afford to live here. And if you live in a high cost of living area, focus more of your discretionary spending on experiences rather than buying a bunch of stuff. Now, the seventh hack is find the cheaper options. When you live in a high cost of living area, what often sends people over the edge and makes them take on debt is not necessarily rent. But it's all the expensive options around, like expensive grocery stores, expensive trendy restaurants, and expensive CrossFit gyms. These expensive options can really send you over the edge, but one hack that can allow you to save money is just do some research and find cheaper alternatives, like discount grocery stores, finding hole-in-the-wall restaurants, and finding cheaper gyms. Even if it doesn't seem like these options are around, they are. You just have to actively seek them out. But if you can find these cheaper alternatives, you can save a lot of money and not go over budget. Now, the eighth hack is don't be a yuppie. Now, in case you don't know what a yuppie is a young urban professional, and yuppies usually wear fancy clothes, drive a fancy car, and have the latest technology. And I'm not gonna lie, I live in a pretty nice area, and where I live, there are so many yuppies. I mean, I have never seen so many Mercedes, BMWs, and Teslas in my life. And although yuppies look like they have a lot of money because they have all these nice things, in reality, they are just drowning in debt. And so another hack, if you choose to live in a higher cost of living area, is just don't become one of these yuppies. Be fine with having an older phone, a simple car, and blue jeans and a t-shirt. Because the second you become a yuppie, the second you become broke and a slave to your possession. And yuppies are the reason that everything is becoming so expensive anyways. Now, the ninth hack is get cheaper things when you leave your area. Where I live in Atlanta, things are a lot more expensive in the city compared to when you go outside the city. And one extreme example is the price of gas, where in the city, it's about $3.90 a gallon, but outside the city, it's $3.20 a gallon, which is a 70-cent difference. Which is a lot of money. I mean, on a fill-up, that is a $13 difference. And one simple hack that I do to save money is that whenever I leave the city, to just fill up my tank of gas and do other errands that are cheaper to do outside of the city because it allows me to save money. Now, the 10th hack is track and stay on top of your expenses. Since I have moved to a higher cost of living area, my expenses have increased drastically. They have about doubled. Which is fine. I knew that I would be spending more money when I decided to move. Plus, where I was living before, my expenses were ridiculously low. But now that I'm living in a more expensive area, I'm finding increasingly more and more important to stay on top of my expenses and track every single dollar I'm spending on a spreadsheet. When you live in a high cost of living area, your spending can quickly get out of control. But if you stay on top of your spending and track every single thing you're spending, you know exactly how much money you're spending and where it's going. And I made a video right here exactly on how to budget and track your expenses with a free spreadsheet because I am a nice guy. But by tracking your expenses, it prevents you from overspending and staying within budget. And those are the 10 frugal living hacks to survive a high cost of living area. And with that, muchas gracias. Que tenga un buen día. Nos vemos, chicos.